La tradition feels so alive. Summer rhythms flame, we're gonna thrive. Go, 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 oh, shout it out loud. Hear the summer sun, we're a summer loving crowd. Talking Brazil ball, we're breaking it down. Bringing the passion.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking Brazil Ball, the podcast all about Brazilian football. And we're here today to look back at Matchday 6 of the Brasileirão season. Botafogo save Renato Pauva's job in the Clássico Vovo. And Palmeiras do a kaiki in their pants, lose at Bahia. And Dorival Jr. rolls up at Corinthians. All that and plenty more in today's show. Yeah, sorry, I got a bit distracted there. Welcome back, everybody. I'm James, I'm your host, and as always, I'm here with George to look back on the week's Brasileirão action. George, how are you doing? We feel like we're in Rio today, don't we? In the Copacabana, it's that hot up here.
Yeah, come by, James, and come by to everybody listening, watching. Yeah, I mean, you stole my line, I think, James. It is like being in Brazil here the last few days. Hot as it comes, I think, in England, high 20s at the moment. Well, it's just cooling down now, but I think it has been a height of 26, 27 today. So, yeah, we're going on, nearly 7 o'clock now, and it's 21 degrees is showing on my systems. So yeah, interesting. Hot day. Have you been enjoying it?
Yeah, to some degree, I guess. I've been working. So you get to work outside in the heat, don't you? A bit too hot sometimes. I've been indoors at the laptop, but still managed to get out and enjoy a bit of it. So it does feel a bit too hot though. I would say, like you said, 7 o'clock, still getting on for the 20-degree mark, but I'm sure everybody's enjoying themselves, and hopefully it's the start of a good long summer for us, George. But what else has been hotting up is certainly the action in the Brasileirão. As I said there, a few notable kind of things to get into today. But before we do that, why don't you give us a rundown of the results, and then we'll get into the quiz of the week.
Well, before I do, James, I mean, I was celebrating last week. It's got to be your turn to celebrate, isn't it? Just briefly, with a congratulations to your team, Liverpool, for clinching the Premier League title on the weekend. I know it was on the cards for some time, but it's been confirmed now with that heavy win at Anfield on Sunday over Spurs. So, yeah, congratulations to you, James. Just quickly, how are you feeling?
Yeah, thank you, George. It's been a bit strange, really. Not used to seeing the celebrations like that. First time they've ever won in my lifetime in front of fans. So I think everybody was just waiting for that big moment for all the fans, all the players, the ones who had been there for the last 5 years, who were there 5 years ago, especially, the likes of Alisson, of course, Salah, Van Dijk, Robertson, Trent, and a couple of the young boys. It was just amazing for everybody to have that moment. It's been such a long time coming, and yeah, the weather was amazing. The scenes in Liverpool looked absolutely brilliant, and I've been sitting covering it from home as well. So it's been great. The celebration isn't stopping, it looks like, and we've still got 4 more games to get through. So we'll see how the boys, what shape the boys are in as they go into those last 4. But yeah, a great moment for every Liverpool fan, and I've certainly been enjoying it. And Alisson, like I said, the sole Brazilian representative now at Liverpool as well, has been a huge part of it. So I'm sure the boys at Inter, where he came through, and probably still has people who work there who he knows and know the family, are probably very proud of him again. So yeah, big week for Liverpool. But yeah, like I said, a good year for all of us. Leeds going up as well, and it's just been a good season, hasn't it? But anyway, enough of that. We're not here to talk about English Premier League, EPL. We're here to talk about the Serie A, George. So why don't you let us know those results, and then we'll get into it.
Absolutely, James. It would be a pleasure of mine. I just wanted to check in with you with that title win. But it started Matchday 6 on Saturday, the 26th of April. Inter 3, Juve 1. Ceará 1, Sao Paulo 1, Mirassol 2, Galo 2. Into Sunday the 27th then, Sport Recife 0, Fortaleza 0, Botafogo 2, Flu 0. Flamengo 4, Corinthians 0. Cruzeiro 1, Vasco 0. Palmeiras 0, Bahia 1. Vitória 1, Grêmio 1. And the Matchday ended, James, early doors, Monday the 28th of April. Another defeat for Santos. Santos 1, Red Bull Bragantino 2. They continue to impress in early season.
Yeah, Bragantino really on the ball. Early days have kind of continued that form right at the end of last season into this one under Fernando Seabra, and we're going to talk a little bit about him later on, aren't we? But first, let's get into some quiz action. What have you got for us this time, George?
Well, James, it is the return of the Copa do Brasil this week. I don't know if you've seen, there has been various teams matched up against each other from various different leagues. We know the Cups throw up some interesting matchups. The Brazilian Cup has already started. It is round 3. It isn't the first round. It does initially run alongside the regional competitions, started in sort of mid-February, and we're in round 3 now. There are 16 Serie A teams left. So my quiz question, James, is a two-pronged answer. If, as you know, my quizzes usually do have more than one answer. So the first question to you is, James, how many, if any, of all Serie A matchups are there in this round of the Copa do Brasil?
3.
There is 1, and it's already been played. Ceará lost to Palmeiras. Obviously, there are two-legged ties, aren't they? So, they take a win into the next round. Also, James, I would like to know, of the 11 Serie A sides that have already played their first leg third round ties, how many of them are taking leads into the second leg?
6.
No, I think it is less than that. Just a quick count up.
Oh, you haven't even got the answer. That's poor, isn't it?
Well, you just caught me off guard a little bit.
How did I catch you off guard? You've asked the question.
7.
7.
Sorry, 7.
Well, I nearly got it, didn't you? Yeah, well, one of them Ceará losing, so I guess that means 3 more teams didn't get the win. A few of them did seem to struggle. One of them was your team, Galo, wasn't it, George?
Yeah. Galo struggled at third division. Maringa. There was quite a number of Serie C teams that did very well, to be fair, against top flight opposition. There was Maringa. There was Nautico, who are 2-1 down from the first leg to Sao Paulo. There is Alagoano, who actually beat Grêmio late on in the early hours of this morning. So they take a 3-2 lead into the second leg. So I know it's a two-legged thing. It's a bit silly, I feel, personally. It just adds to the games, more games for everybody. But, that's the way they do it. So, yeah, it's fair enough. They've done very well, some of these lower league sides.
It seems to be quite a hard competition to win, to be fair. I don't think it's not like here in England where the FA Cups become dominated by the big clubs once again, really. It seems to be mixed around a bit. It seems to be quite a hard competition to win, really. So, Flamengo obviously won it last time out.
Flamengo start their defence tomorrow, midnight, tonight, actually, against Serie C side Botafogo PB. So they're away in the first leg. So we'll see how they get on, James. But yeah, interesting. Like you said, very difficult to win, really. I know your team struggled as well against the 4th division side. So, Maracanã. So they really ran them well. Inter got a 93rd minute winner in that one.
Inter got the win in the end. But it was a tough ask. Anyway, enough of that. Let's crack on. Let's look at the games of the round. So we had a couple of really big games this time, a couple of kind of games towards the top of the table. You were looking at Flamengo against Corinthians. So Corinthians, George, as we know before the game, were yet to a point, or at least he wasn't on the bench. Dorival Jr., we spoke about him last week and the week before. It was a long negotiation. He has now been put in place. So he is the manager at Corinthians. He took charge of their Copa do Brazil game, which they beat, I think, Novo Horizontino, wasn't it? They beat them away 1-0, which is a decent result because they're up in the playoff mix. They were last year. I think they are again in Serie B so far early doors. So just your reaction to the Dorival Jr. appointment, and then, how did you see? I mean, they got absolutely battered in this one, which perhaps underlined the need for Dorival Jr. to come in. He is known as a bit of more of a, like a Mano, I think, a bit more defensive, but they got smacked 4-0 in this one. So your reaction to Dorival Jr. and then how did you see the game?
Yeah, I mean, James, like you said, they really needed somebody in. Dorival Jr., as we know, it was on the cards for some time. We mentioned it, like you said, a couple of times. It was fine details had to be ironed out. They obviously got it sorted. He was on the bench, taking charge for the first time against in the cup, and like you said, they got a decent result really there. Coming up against a real formidable opponent here, James. I mean, Corinthians. We'll wait to see. I probably won't touch on Corinthians too much because it's a good appointment that I feel. Dorival Jr. I'm kind of excited after him coming out of the Brazilian national side to see how he fits back into Brasileirão, the environment in club football. But, Corinthians are sitting 12th. It's only 6 games in. Dorival Jr. is in now. They can really switch it up and concentrate. It's a big game on Saturday with Inter at home to Inter. So, it's quite a good starter for him to get his feet under the table. But as far as Flamengo are concerned, James, I know I said I'd pinned my colours to the mast very early on. These are going to win the league. I don't see anybody else winning it. They keep smacking teams for high scoring now. It seems like they can freely get goals, and it happened again on in this game. Again, it only took them 5 minutes. And again, it was a lovely goal. Everton, Armand Diarra, he's having a fantastic season. He set this one up, a wide ball to the left-hand side. Everton cut in and buried it in the bottom corner. It was a lovely finish. And that just set them on the way. Couple of goals, quick-fire goals. First from that man again, Diarra, who is having a storming season. Lovely finish again. He's such a good striker of the ball, this lad, and really finishes. Every single goal you see from him is really just really nicely placed. And he's really got the bit between his teeth at the start of this season. And then Pedro's such an important player. And we will touch on Pedro, of course, shortly as well. But yeah, he gets a couple of goals. Of course, he gets his penalties, seems to get a lot of them, and they just blew them away, basically. And Felipe Luis very, very happy as he should be with his team's performance. Like I said, they start the defence of the Copa do Brazil against third division side Botafogo PB. So you back them to win that game. I know the fans have been out in full force to welcome them. A bit of a party atmosphere going on as the team arrived. I think it was last night to go to that away game. So the fans are in good spirits. Everybody's in high spirits, and they're just performing as they should be, James, I would say, at the very top of the table. And they just look just unstoppable at this moment in time.
Yeah, they're doing well. They're doing, like you said, scoring a lot of goals. Pedro's coming back has obviously helped them. He's already scored 4 goals. He would have won the top scorer award last season had he not had that injury. The slightly different story in the Libertadores. They played 3 games, won 1, drawn 1, and lost 1. They drew against LDU de Quito in midweek, but it's notoriously difficult, I think, at altitude over in Quito, so it's not an easy place to go. So maybe they will have looked at that and been happy in the end with that. But yeah, it's difficult to look past Flamengo at the moment. I think the more interesting story perhaps in this one is Corinthians, and just they've had a really mixed start to the season, like you said. Into next time out, like it could be a good one for Dorival Jr. to get his teeth into, but it could also go badly. And if it goes badly, they're starting to look down the table once again. Where do you see them at the minute? Do you think what do you think needs fixing, or do you think?
A big one here, James, was Depay. Depay went off injured. Now I don't know if there's been any update on this injury or what's kind of happened with the injury, but he got taken off in the first half, and obviously he's their key man, isn't he? 3 goals already off 5 games. He's one of the best on his day in the league. So he's a bit. If that, I think it was a foot injury, if that continues to cause him issues and he's out for some time, then Corinthians are going to struggle. Yuri Alberto, I know it's early season, but he's only got 1 goal off 6 games, which isn't, after how many goals he scored last season, it's not the best of starts. Like I said a few weeks ago, James, they need more from these players. Alberto, Depay. We talked about Bidon, didn't we? The young man in the, I think it was the first episode of the new season. There's high hopes for some of these guys, and Dorival Jr. has come in at the right time for me. It's taken a little bit more time than they probably would have wanted, but I think they've got the man. They wanted him from the start, and they've got him now, and lots of time to turn this around, like you said. Although if it does start to, if he doesn't get a result in the early couple of games, then people are going to start getting a little bit frustrated again. And like you rightly said, they will start to look further down the table. So they need to pick up a win sooner rather than later. But for me, they just need a bit more from those key men, really, to really shine and show the true colours, because it was always a hard ask at the Maracanã, isn't it? And when Flamengo are going as they are, it's difficult. But you've just got to say, hey, maybe there's always another day. There's plenty of games to go. There's plenty of time to sort it, and I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, like I said, Dorival Jr. started with a 1-0 win, so hopefully a bit of more stability on the back of that. Well, as you mentioned, George, there we are going to talk a little bit about Pedro, because he is this week's Player of the Round. Yes, 2 goals, 1 assist for Pedro in that 4-0 drubbing of Corinthians makes him this week's Player of the Round. He wasn't the only contender, I have to point out. There was not many, really. I mean, Hulk was in the mix, I'd have said, goal and assist for him, although, again, Gallo really in the mud at the moment, couldn't beat Mirasol. Last-minute winner again, Ronaldo popping up. He's having a good season for Mirasol, isn't he? And then Alan Patrick as well, another veteran for Inter, who got 3 assists, George. I mean, that was pretty impressive. Not often you see a player get 3 assists, and I think all in the first half as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, no, 1 was in the second half, I think, but it was 1 was in the second half, 2 in the first. I mean, we'll talk about him a bit later on, James, but it was incredible to watch. I mean, all 3 were corner kicks from the same side. I mean, you've got to ask questions of the Juventude defence, really, but they were right on the money. And like you said, I mean, there is a man in there we haven't mentioned. I think you purposely left him out because he is another award winner, but we won't mention him just yet. But he was definitely on the cards for Player of the Round as well.
Yep, the young Player of the Round, as you mentioned, Georgie bagged 2, and we'll reveal him a little later on. But for now, it had to be Pedro, and yeah, he's making a difference already, isn't he? Just showing how this Flamengo team can go up another level when he's in it.
Yeah, I mean, look, like you said, James, we mentioned it plenty of times. If Pedro was in the squad for the whole season last year, I think they would have won the league. He would have definitely, for me, got the golden boot. He just scores goals for fun in this league. It's just what he seems to do. And like I said, he got his statutory penalty. Always seems to get a pen, but he smashed it in. There was no trouble from the spot at all for him. And the other goal was a lovely, nice little finish as well. So, he's just a goal scorer, isn't he? And at this level, I honestly, there aren't that many better than him right now. Felipe Luis was talking him up, and rightly so, after the game. He reckons he's a World Cup player now. I think, there's talk of Ancelotti coming in to manage the national side, isn't there? And who knows what kind of, tactics he will deploy in terms of players he will come and bring into the national side. But, if he's looking at homegrown players, I know Pedro's nearly 28 now, isn't he? But he's not a young player by any stretch. But he's played for the national team before. Obviously, his club manager, feels he can play there. And I would say he could probably. If you're looking at homegrown players, again, there aren't that many better than him at this current time, and he just bags your goals. He's just reliable, isn't he? That's what he does. He just gets goals at this level, and I am very surprised. To be fair, I know he's flirted with it in the past with Fiorentina, but I'm very surprised that he hasn't had a flutter in sort of Europe more heavier than he has. He didn't play many, did he, in Italy, and before going back to Rio de Janeiro. So I know he's a Rio boy, isn't he? But yeah, for me, I'd like to see him playing in Europe, to be fair.
Yeah, maybe a move might come this summer. You don't know, but that ACL injury probably came at a bad time for him, even though he's coming into form already. That was actually his first start since that ACL in September. So, he hasn't taken that long to recover from it, to be fair, but he has, that was his first start, 2 goals. Just a note on that, Carlo Ancelotti has actually backed away from talks, so he won't be the new manager. I don't know exactly what happened, but yeah, he's it won't be Ancelotti unless it takes another turn. So I don't know who it will be, but it doesn't look like it's going to be Ancelotti. Anyway, yeah, Pedro is our deserved winner, I think, for the play of the round. A really good performance, and Flamengo really purring with him back in the team. Right then, George. Go on.
I think it was a special moment for him as well, to be fair, James, because he's got 2 young, I think he's got twin girls. I think they're only months old, and he had them on the pitch. I think he walked out with them before the game, so maybe that gave him the extra motivation to just go and bag a couple of goals. And so I know he was talking about it on social media afterwards. It seemed a special day for him, of course. So added to that, all added to that, really.
Yeah, well done, Pedro. Back with a bang, and hopefully back to stay, unless somebody steals him away this summer. And we'll see. Okay, let's move along to my game of the week, which was the Clásico Vovo, the Botafogo against Fluminense game. And as we mentioned last week, George, as I mentioned at the top, really, we predicted a bit of a tough go for manager Renato Paiva, who's been under pressure at Botafogo. I think not huge pressure in terms of the board. I think they've kind of understanding with the situation he's walked into, but obviously results haven't been particularly good leading into this game. And like I said, it's a big derby. It was a big derby. They had lost 2 in a row, including a loss in Libertadores. They did really need a win in this, and Flu obviously were going into the game I think they were 3rd at the start, maybe 4th. They obviously started pretty well under Renato Gaucho, but they this one kind of went against the form book, really. Botafogo finally turned up for Paiva, managed to get a 2-0 win. The first goal came early in the first, towards the end of the first half. Vitinho, the former Burnley man, got a goal. I don't think he's been up to much really since he joined Botafogo, but he has been starting this season. He got a goal, and then right towards the end, George, breakaway goal. Savarino, who is again finally starting to turn up. He scored a really good goal. I think it was last week, maybe the week before. He curled in a beauty, and he's got another one. We know he's a big player for Botafogo. He's a really big player in the double win last year, so they're going to need him. And things are looking better already at Fogo. Really, I mean they backed this up with a massive 4-0 win in the Libertadores. Sorry, in the Copa do Brazil. So 2 wins on the bounce, 2 clean sheets. And they're 8th in the table. Okay, they're not where they probably want to be, but they're starting to look more towards the top of the table. They're 6 points off the top. There's a long way to go. And for Renato Paiva, I think he's finally he was playing down toward the back, that they're going to push on towards the top of the table again. But I think you've got to give him credit for riding out this kind of period, coming through it. And I think this was a big game, because you feel like if they had lost that one 3 losses in a row. It's obviously a very big game to lose at home. You feel like it might have started to go a little bit bad for him with the fans maybe turning against him. So I think it was a huge win in the context of that, because it's a derby. All the bad things that happen if you lose it are kind of amplified even more if you win it. So I think he's probably got them on side to a degree now. And I think you just got to hope that they continue it now. And we looked at the squad before the season. Obviously, we know they've lost big players, but they do have still some star quality. Savarino, I think, is really one to pin your hat on if you're a Fogo fan, because he has got something special. Igor Jesus as well, who set up one of the goals here too. So they've still got a little bit of kind of star quality here and there, and they need to lean on that. And I still think they'll be okay. I don't think anybody's going to tip them towards a title challenge or anything like that, but I think they should be looking at the top 4. As for Flu, just one of those days. It doesn't seem like there was a lot in the game, really, to be honest. It was pretty even until that breakaway goal at the end. They were pushing for the equaliser. So not a great day for Flu, not a great day for Renato Gaucho, but they'll be okay as well. I mean, they're almost the opposite to Fogo, really, the way they've started, having kind of shit the bed last year. So they're back. And yeah, nothing too much to worry about for them. I don't know what your thoughts are on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it was, like you said, James, for Paiva, like no pressure, like we spoke about last week, pressure was building on him, wasn't it? And I feel like I'm with you. I think if they lost this game, I think that's pretty much him out the door, because it's a derby game, like you said. People start to get a little bit more frustrated. It's like 10 times more frustration, isn't it? If you lose a derby when you've been on a bad run of form, people start calling for the manager pretty quickly. So massive result that. Fluminense, like you said as well, have been doing well. So it was a really, really good result. It was a couple of really nice goals, to be fair. Coutinho took his nicely first time finish. And then, like you said, Savarino is really now the star quality, the real star quality has gone. He is the star quality. Like you said, Igor Jesus maybe in there as well. But Savarino, for me, he's the one to watch for Fogo. And he was in and amongst it last year. And now, yeah, he takes the mantle for me. It was a lovely goal. Ran it almost from halfway, basically, and then stuck it in the bottom corner. It was lovely. And yeah, big result for him. Big was, for the team. Big result for Paiva himself. And like you said, although it wasn't the team, to be quite honest, I don't even know much about the team that were playing in the cup. But they're still going to go there and win the game, and they did that, albeit with two penalties. But there you go. I mean, you've still got to be in a position where you can win the game. So fair play to them. Bahia on Sunday, they'd fancied themselves to beat Bahia, I think. So yeah, like you said, then they're starting to look up the table a little bit more, aren't they?
They certainly are. When you say that in Bahia terms, but Bahia had a fantastic result at the weekend. And let's have a quick look at that, George, as we move away from the games of the round and look at the young player of the round.
For this guy.
Yeah, and this was a good one this week, actually, wasn't it? There was quite a few contenders for it, and some interesting names as well. I think, as I mentioned, Bahia there, I think we've got to talk about the man, like I said there at the start of the show. Palmeiras did a kaiki in their pants at the Allianz Parque, George. Nobody saw this one coming, did they? Palmeiras in brilliant form, going into the game, or at least, towards the top of the table. Bahia have had a bit of a patchy start to the season, but 93 minutes on the clock, up stepped Kaiki, the man on loan from Manchester City, and he got the winner.
Yeah, I mean, they love a late goal, don't they? It was a 104th minute penalty that beat Ceará in the other week. I mean, it's actually their fourth 1-0 win. They won in the Cup. It was their fourth 1-0 win in a row, including that win in the league over Palmeiras. So 1-0 to Bahia is a new score, and it would seem it was a lovely goal from Kaiki. Like I said, on loan from the City group connection, doing Bahia well there as well, because he looks a good young player. and yeah, it was a lovely 1-2, and chipped it over the goalkeeper. It kissed the bar on its way in. It was a lovely goal. They love, like I said, they love a late goal, but unfortunately for him, he won. Well, he won his team the 3 points, which is obviously the most important thing. But unfortunately for him, he misses out on our award. But it was, yeah, like you said, it was a crowded sort of young player award this week, wasn't it? Really.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he's had a couple of spells at Bahia already. Kaiki. He's I think there was a lot made of him when he came to City. Obviously, he played quite a bit at Flu already, but he hasn't taken off at City. Obviously, very difficult to do that. He spent time. I mean, you look at the teams he's been on loan at in Europe. It's not kind of it doesn't speak to a player who's going to play at the top of the game. Unfortunately, Passos de Ferreira in Portugal and Sparta Rotterdam, and he wasn't really playing a lot there. But even at Bahia, he hasn't been playing. To be fair, he's been coming off the bench a few times, but he's turned up with a really big goal there, so maybe he'll start getting a few more minutes from Rogerio Ceni. But like you said, George, there were some other candidates in there as well. Another player on loan from an English giant, really, at Santos was David Washington, who again, quite a lot been made of him. He scored a late goal this weekend, but it wasn't enough for Santos, who lost 2-1 against Rebel Bragantino. But yeah, David Washington, 19, a couple of years younger than Kaiki. That was his first goal for Santos. So, a good moment for him in what has been, again, we talk about these players who join Chelsea. He obviously joined Chelsea from Santos. He's gone back on loan. Maybe a bit of a confidence boost for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of these players that let's really, really hope that the same fate doesn't befall Armand Estevao. I don't think it will, but Chelsea love to buy a lot of Brazilian players and then just ship them out on loan, never play them. He's played 3 times for Chelsea since he arrived there. So yeah, he's not going to be involved in Chelsea, is he? And back to Santos. It must be frustrating for him, really, to just be like, get this big move to Chelsea, play 3 times, and then get shipped back to where he came from. And then you think, well, how am I going to make it? I thought I was going to make it in England, and looking like obviously he's gone back. It was, like you said, maybe a bit of a confidence boost, this goal, albeit a consolation. It was late in the game. It was a nice finish, actually. He sort of took it round a couple of defenders and prodded the ball in. So maybe he gets a bit more of a go now, and maybe Chelsea do see James and think, oh, he's scoring goals, let's have him back in the team. But something tells me they probably won't do that.
I don't think they really care. To be fair, what's going on in Brazil, he's only 19 as well. End of the day, it's not like it's now or never for him at Chelsea. He could have a long career ahead of him. But yeah, it's a shame for him because I know he was very highly rated. Last time Santos were in Serie A, they went down, but he became a bit of a figurehead for them. So they're struggling again, of course. So maybe they'll need him to turn up a little bit more as well. But anyway, moving along, George, because we've got a couple to talk about. Again, we've talked a lot this series about the youngsters at Sao Paulo, and we've got another one to touch on. Interestingly, so we spoke about Lucas Ferreira, and we've also talked about Mateus Alves. I don't know where Mateus Alves was this weekend, but Lucas Ferreira was playing, but he was not the man who made the difference. It was Ryan Francisco, an 18-year-old George, who came off the bench. I think, yeah, he did came off he started the game. Started the game and got his first ever Serie A goal against Ceará. I mean, another good result for Ceará, 1-1 with Sao Paulo. But yeah, Ryan Francisco, a new name for us.
Yeah, another new name, James, in terms of the young players, Sao Paulo. I think on another day, Francisco might have got this award, to be quite honest. It was a nice headed goal. His first for his boyhood club as well. He's come through the academy there. So yeah, it's a great way to introduce himself. He did get one in the Paulista actually as well, but first Serie A goal for him. So a great way to introduce himself, and another sort of young player from Sao Paulo for us to look over and see how he gets on. So I do think he was unlucky not to win this award, to be quite fair. I think for a long time he was probably going to win it, but then, up stepped Pedro, I guess, and we sort of shifted one down, really.
Yeah. definitely another to keep an eye on. They've got great academy at Sao Paulo, so few players to watch over. Ryan Francisco, certainly a name to remember. But George, like you said, he did not win the award, and that was indisputed in the end. It went to Victor Gabriel of Inter, who beat Juventude. Of course, they had the Gremio derby, the Porto Alegre derby, the Grenal. And then the week after, they've had another relatively local derby against Juventude, and they won this one 3-1, and it was very big thanks to Victor Gabriel, George, centre-back, 2 goals in the first half. As we mentioned earlier, Alan Patrick got the assist for both of them. But yeah, a young centre-back turning up with 2 goals. I mean, he had this written all over him, didn't he? Or like you said, he could have even won the big one, the player of the round.
Yeah, look, I think, like I said, upset Pedro and scored 2 goals, got the assist, and sort of he had to get it in the end. But, you know, for a bit, you know, he was our man for player of the round. It just happened to be so that he is, you know, of our remit for the young player of the round. He's only 20, isn't he? Of course, the cut-off is 21. So, you know, it was a natural kind of, yeah, well, he can have the young player player of the round kind of thing. So fair play to him, Victor Gabriel. He is he's just signed for Inter, didn't he, last September from Sport Recife, James. So he's just making his way at Inter. It was actually his first Serie A appearance of the season, wasn't it? And what a way to mark it with a couple of goals. That's, like I said, both were nearly identical to each other. Like I said, Alan Patrick has had a brilliant start to the season, and it was right on his head. Both of the goals. Like I said, you can question Juve's defending. The balls in were just 10 out of 10s, you know, and he just headed them in. It was easy as you want, really, but a great way, and he's contributed. He's won his team the game with those 2 headers, really, and fair play to him.
Yeah, it was actually only his second ever appearance in Serie A, his first one since the 2021 season with Sport Recife. So that makes it even more amazing, really. It was his first ever start in the league for Inter, probably his first ever start in the league, full stop. And he's turned up with 2 goals in the first half. He probably couldn't believe his luck. He might do it like a Jamie Carragher now. He scored on his debut and didn't score again for about 10 years, I think. But he's got one already in the Gaucho as well in pre-season. So he's obviously got a bit of a knack for goal scoring. He turned 21 2 days after the game as well. So yeah, he is still eligible for that young player, but he's one to keep a watch over. I mean, a good bit of scouting, you'd have to say, from Inter, picking him up from Sport Recife. He wasn't playing really for them, so he was kind of coming through the youth team. So probably one who Roger Mercado might probably want to keep in the starting 11. It'd be interesting to see whether he does keep him in there. He did start against Maracana yesterday, so obviously Mercado has seen him, liked him. He's put him in there. He kept a clean sheet. So
I think also, James, I think he got man of the match in the cup game as well. So obviously had a good few days. His birthday thrown in as well, to throw in there his 21st birthday of all ones as well. So that's a memorable one. Also, he was on social media as well, James, after the game, and he had this to say about it. A memorable evening in my life. Very happy for the 2 goals and to help the team to get all 3 points at home. And he's obviously a religious boy. He went on to quote Matthew in the Bible, and whatever you shall ask in prayer, if you have faith, you will receive. So he's obviously a religious fella. Well,
very good for him. Good for him, and well done for him to enjoy the Young Player of the Round award this week. A lot of contenders, but well done to Victor Gabriel. Nobody came close to him. Right, George, let's move along because we've got a couple more awards to dish out at the end of the show for the first time ever this time. So let's move along to the goal of the round before we do that. Yeah, goal of the round. Weren't loads of goals, to be fair, this round. It wasn't one of the highest scoring match days. A lot of games are 1-1. Very few teams scored more than 2 goals. But George, who have we gone for goal of the round?
So, goal of the round, James, and we're talking about that Sao Paulo game again. It's Cearás Pedro Henrique has won the award for this week's goal of the round. And I know you've been pretty busy. I mean, you haven't really managed to watch so many of the goals, but I did get the chance to cast my eyes over them, and there was some nice goals. Like I said, Savarino's goal, lovely goal. I like the Mirasol goal as well, albeit against my team, Garlo. The boy ran it from basically inside his own half and then put it in the bottom corner. But for me, this Pedro Henrique goal was just lovely. Have a look, James, when you get a chance, because it's really, it's just, I think it's just like one touch. It's an assist by Matthias Bahia, and he's just sort of pumped the ball up long. The ball bounces, and Henrique just lobs the ball over the goalkeeper, and it's into the net. And you don't see many lob finishers nowadays, I don't think. There's more sort of place the ball in the net, but he just it bounces, and he just really nicely controlled effort, just loops over the goalkeeper and into the goal. It's a lovely finish, and I just thought, right, that's it. I really like that goal.
Yeah, fair enough. It was very early on in the game. Ceará have obviously had a good start to the season. It's not all been brilliant. They lost to Bahia, like you said, that late goal the week before. This was an early goal for them. In this one, they couldn't hang on against Sao Paulo, but they're still sitting quite nicely up in ninth position. So still going pretty well for them, isn't it? Despite, like we mentioned, that Ryan Francisco equaliser.
Yeah, I mean, look, Ceará will be absolutely delighted with their start, James. Albeit, like I said, in all competitions, it's only 1 win in 5 now. They did seem to start very well, and obviously that suggests that they have dropped off a little bit. There's a winnable game there on the weekend with Vitória, who haven't started very well, and if they can win that, they would be perceived maybe as teams around them that they can have a chance of winning. So if they do win that, they're very nicely placed and kind of probably be similar to where they are now, sort of mid-table. So it's he'll be very, very happy with the start. Will Leo Conde, and why not? I think that's a fair kind of return. 8 points from the first 6 games. That's very good for a promoted side, I would say.
Yeah, definitely good enough for the time being, and a good point for them really at home against Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo, as we've touched on there, just not fully getting going yet, are they? They just can't quite make anything work. I mean, they're unbeaten in 6, as we said last week. They got the first win, but they still haven't lost. But yeah, 5 of those have been draws. They sit exactly in 10th. It's just been a bit frustrating for them. They have a few young players coming through. I know they've had injuries. Lucas Moura, I think, hasn't really played yet, but they'd want to be a little bit higher than they are, wouldn't they, really? Do you see some signs of worry for Zubeldia? I mean, they're not getting over the line. As we know, Castelao is a difficult place to go. Not many teams win there, but they still, on the back of that win against Santos, they will have wanted to kick on, and they just haven't been able to.
Well, yeah, they haven't been able to, James. It's been, and they are just one. They are one of two, only one of 2 teams that are unbeaten. They still are unbeaten in the league, and Zubeldia, they'll just want to turn draws into wins, won't they? I mean, look, they're unbeaten, but they've only won 1 game. They've drawn 5. And, the draw specialists, you always seem to get one in a division, don't you? And I don't think, to be fair, I don't think the Sao Paulo hierarchy are just going to allow him to draw every single game and for it to be okay. So they do need to start winning games of football soon, really. Although, like I said, they are unbeaten. The only other team that are unbeaten, James, is Flamengo. So, they sit top of the league. So there you go. But they do need to start definitely turning results. I mean, they did win in the cup in the week, albeit against third division opposition. Our man Luciano Neves, who has had a quiet sort of start of the season, he got a double. They went behind, and he got a double to bring it back to a 2-1 advantage going into the second leg. So maybe that's, I know it's, no disrespect to Nautico, but they are a third division side. I think you'd have to see a win against Fortaleza on Saturday for Zubeldia to really start to, and his team to start to look up the table. I think he's under pressure, actually, James. I don't think the hierarchy are going to settle for draws,
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, they are unbeaten across all competitions. They've won 2 out of 3 Libertadores, drew the other. They won in the Cup, like you said. So they are unbeaten across all competitions since losing in the Paulista. So that's something. Nautico, coincidentally, we mentioned Allison. That's a club who his brother Muriel Becker is playing for. He was playing in that game. He was in net. So Luciano scored twice against Muriel. But yeah, maybe I wouldn't say he's under pressure just yet, but they do need to start winning. Fortaleza also need to start winning, by the way. So that is a big game with the 2 upside down triangle badge teams this weekend. Right, George, let's crack on anyway. And we've got a new segment of the show. Let's do the play. Let's do. I don't think we have a soundtrack for this, a jingle, do we yet? But we've decided to do the Player of the Month and the Manager of the Month awards. So, given that this match day was the last round of April, why don't we hand those out now? And hopefully we can keep on top of it. It's not that easy to keep on top of it, but let's see. So, George, Manager of the Month. I think there were 2 candidates we were looking at. You were pushing for Leo Conde a little bit, weren't you?
Yeah, well, just to explain, James. Obviously, yeah, we're at the end of every month, we're looking at Manager of the Month, Player of the Month, and Goal of the Month. It is a little bit hard to keep a tag on, but I'm going to try and do that. I'm going to be a busy boy on the social media, I think, trying to do all these little graphics, try and keep up with it all. But so be it. That's what we want to do. So that's good. But yeah, I think for me, I was pushing for Leo Conde. I think he, given the expectation of Ceará and the way they are in the league, I thought that he deserved a little bit of a shout. But like you pointed out, we are looking at the whole start of the season, because I know it started late March, but it was basically April, wasn't it? We're looking at the April, awards here. So I thought he might have been in with a shout. Also, I thought possibly I know again it's different kind of gravy down at the bottom, but I thought Rafael Gunayes of Mirassol might have been in with a shout also, because he has done a marvellous job at the start of this season.
Yeah, Mirassol going well. Very difficult to beat. Only lost 1 of they're kind of similar to Sao Paulo, really, but they'll be probably happy going along with draws, picking up the odd win here and there. Like I said, Reinaldo has been a huge player for them. Got a really late equaliser against Gallo again. Yeah, good shout. Guananes is one to keep an eye on for the future, but I think neither of them could really come close to Fernando Seabra at Red Bull Bragantino, who has won 4 in a row, who has just propelled Red Bull Bragantino from relegation battlers up to 3rd in the table after 6 games. He's 1 point off the top. I mean, I'm really pleased for him. We spoke about him quite a bit last season. He was a bit hard done by at Cruzeiro, and they got rid of him kind of 2/3 of the way through the season and hired Diniz and didn't see any improvement on the back of that. And Seabra went to Bragantino and made them hard to beat, ultimately kept them up, and now they're looking up the table. So I think he's a deserving winner, isn't he?
Oh, I think he is, definitely, James. I think we don't seem to speak about him enough. And they've only lost 1 of the 6 games, James, and we haven't really touched on Bragantino at all at the moment. In the whole episodes that we've been doing covering the 2025 season. So, I say 1-0 to Bahia seems a result. 1-0 to Bragantino seems to be the score as well, and a big one that would have felt so sweet for Seabra with a 1-0 win over his former employees Cruzeiro, last week, which would have been absolutely great for him, I'm sure. So yeah, big respect to him and fair play to him. I think he deserves that, and I kind of like Bragantino. I think they, obviously they stayed up by the skin of the teeth last season, but I think they've gone on, and it's a really good appointment from their hierarchy to get Seabra in. And they're going really well. Let's see if they can keep it up. I mean, obviously they've got one of our boys, Peter, as well. I don't think he's really hit the ground running. I think he's scored once, hasn't he, so far? But he's always a bit of a danger on his day. Big win for them on Monday against Santos as well. Sasha is started the season pretty well as well. I know he was quite important to them last season in them staying up. So fair play to Seabra. He wins our first ever Manager of the Month award.
He does. Well done, Fernando Seabra. We'll see who'll win it next month. And player of the round, George. Player of the month, sorry. I think there was probably a couple of contenders, really. I mean, Depay's had a decent kind of start, hasn't he? There's been a couple of other players who are probably, who have started decent. Not Pedro Henrique Raul at Seattle. What's his name? The fella.
Pedro Raul.
Yeah, he scored a few, hasn't he? But I don't think there was any competition. I don't think there was really worth looking at anybody else because Georgian Diaraseta has been phenomenal. What a start to the season he's had, and he is deserving player of the month.
Yeah, we mentioned him at the top, James. He's been unplayable, really. And some of the goals he's scoring, every single one, like I said, just seems to be nicely placed, nicely thought out. It's not just a thrash and it goes in. It's really, he seems a real cultured player, to be quite fair. It's about time for me that he showed up and started playing for Flamengo, because he didn't last season. He was a bit of a passenger. And this time he's really hit the ground running. And I agree with you. Maybe his teammate again, maybe Pedro was a late shout for it. But I think Diaraseta should, he deserves it. He's propelled them to top of the table. And I don't think he's going to stop there. So he's a worthy winner of April's player of the round, player of the month, sorry.
Yeah, five games, 5 goals, 3 assists. I mean, that's a phenomenal month by anybody's standards. He's top scorer as in the early running, 5 goals, no penalties, and he's joint top of the assist charts as well with 3 assists with Patrick, who obviously got them all in one game, and Luciano Juba of Bahia, who we haven't come across at all yet. But well done to Diaraseta. I think a very, very worthy winner. And then goal of the month, George. There was a few candidates, wasn't there? You put together them from the goal of the round awards. A couple of good ones in there. Some better than others. I think Emiliano Martinez for Palmeiras was a very, very close runner-up, in my opinion. But we've given it to Rene, haven't we? The man who wasn't happy with his painkillers at half-time and just decided to
Well, that was it, James. I mean, he absolutely
goal of the month.
Yeah, I mean, he wins the April goal of the month. He absolutely smacked it in this. And like you said, on the time, it was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? Their win over Corinthians, I think it was. The ball just got headed out to him, and he just thought, I'm really angry. I don't like how these painkillers are affecting me, and get it over with. He just slammed it in the back of the net. It was a lovely finish. And just to be clear on the goal of the month, so we're gonna take every goal of the round in the month, and that becomes a kind of a nominee for the goal of the month. At the end of it, James, I know we wanted to do goal of the season last season, but we kind of lost track of it all. So what I'm going to suggest is we're going to take every winner of goal of the month and put it into the goal of the year nominations. You'll have 8 or 9 goals to look on at the end of the season, for your goal of the season. So let's try and keep a track on it if we can, and that's hopefully what will happen. I will get some talking Brazil ball band and get some jingles sorted as well for next month, I think.
Yeah, that will be good. I don't know what they've been up to. Been slacking off this time, enjoying the sunshine a bit too much probably. But yeah, I think that's what they do on Match of the Day and stuff, isn't it? So a good idea, that one. Right, let's keep looking ahead then, George. It doesn't stop. Matchday 7 is coming quickly upon us. So why don't you just give us a rundown of those fixtures, and then we'll pick our games of the round for Matchday 7.
Absolutely, James. It would be a pleasure of mine. So on Matchday 7, it starts on Saturday the 3rd of May. It is Sao Paulo take on Fortaleza. at 1:30 a.m. Then into 10:30 p.m. English time, Ceará hosts Vitória, Corinthians host your team Inter, James, and Fluminense host Sport Recife. Into Sunday, May the 4th, then. May the 4th be with you if you're a Star Wars fan, James. Bahia host Botafogo, 1 a.m. Grêmio Santos at 8 p.m. Vasco against Palmeiras, also at 8 p.m. And then Cruzeiro host Flamengo, 10:30 p.m. Then Monday the 5th of May, RB Bragantino host Mirassol, 11 p.m. The match day ends on Tuesday the 6th of May, midnight UK time. Juventude host Galo.
Very good. So what are you eyeing up there as your game of the round?
You know, James, it's the first time I'm looking at these fixtures, to be quite honest. And, you know, there's not many that really jump out here, to be fair. And you know what? I'm gonna go with Sao Paulo Fortaleza. Although Grêmio Santos did sort of perk me interest up a little bit, but I'm going to go with Sao Paulo Fortaleza because, like we said, Zubeldia needs a win. You know, I think Pablo Vojvoda also does really badly need a win as well. So I think that will be interesting shootout to see who gets a result.
Yeah, that was the one I had my eye on. Actually, I was going to go with those. So I'll pivot. And I'll go. You said we haven't talked about Red Bull Bragantino much, so let's talk about Red Bull Bragantino. Let's look at their game against Mirassol. Mirassol have been going well, so let's see if Red Bull Bragantino can. Both Flamengo and Palmeiras have got maybe awkward-looking away games potentially against Vasco and Cruzeiro, so maybe RBB will see it as a chance to really. They'll know the results of those two games when they take to the field against Mirassol. So let's see. I think that might be a decent game. So they're the two we're going to go with. And that's it, George. There we go. That's match day 6 boxed off. Another good week. The table's starting to shape up, isn't it? So why don't you just run the table down and let us know where things stand at the end of all of that?
Yeah, it would be a pleasure of mine, James. So top of the table is Flamengo on 14. Second is Palmeiras on 13. Third is RB Bragantino on 13. Fourth, Cruzeiro on 10. Fifth, Fluminense on 10. Sixth, Inter on 9. Seventh is Bahia on 9. Eighth, Fogo on 8. Ceará in 9th on 8. 10th is Sao Paulo on 8. 11th, Vasco on 7. 12th is Corinthians on 7. 13th is Juve on 7. 14th, Mirassol also on 7. 15th is Fortaleza on 6. 16th is Vitória on 6. Into relegation zone, James Galo on 6. 18th is Grêmio on 5. 19th is Santos on 4. And propping up the table without a win yet, the only team not to bag a win, Sport Recife, bottom of the league on 2 points.
Yeah, when will Sport Recife get that win? Hopefully it's not too far away or they're going to get very badly cut adrift. 3 big teams in the relegation zone with them there, Grêmio, Santos and Galo. None of them will be happy with that. But they're going to have to improve. Let's see if they will improve next time, George. Another good week.
Yeah, another good week, James. Great to get me, our teeth into some Brazil around action, isn't it? And more rewards to give out, wasn't there, today as well? And great to be back talking about it, on a weekly basis, isn't it? And we'll see what happens on this weekend. I'll ask you for your predictions, if I may, James, as well. So you can see how you get on in that. I think you're just beat me. It has closed the gap. I think the gap has closed a little bit. A long way to go for those.
Yeah, get those over in the next day or so. Right then, George, let's say goodbye and there's some music. So we'll see everybody next week. Like I said, the English season's ending very soon, so we'll be full focus on the Brazil. See you guys soon. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, can't wait for it, James. See you next week. Adios.
Adios.
We're breaking it down. Bringing the passion from every town. Let the world be filled with love tonight. Sway to the beat, make you feel so right. Summer, summer vibes, we're dancing in the heat. Go, go, go. Can't be beat, up in Brazil, go spread love.